has kindly agreed to deliver the occasional address.
Presiding Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon we're fortunate to have as our guest speaker a University of Melbourne graduate and high-profile businesswoman, Naomi Simson. Among her many distinctions, Naomi is founding director of Red Balloon, a leading online experience gift retailer, an investor and TV personality on Network 10's The Shark Tank program, and a successful business blogger and author. As many here will do today, Naomi graduated with a Bachelor of Commerce degree from Melbourne in 1984. She worked in marketing roles for IBM, Apple, KPMG and Ansett Airlines, and started her own marketing consulting firm in 1996. In 2001, she founded Red Balloon, a pioneer in online e-commerce, which has now served more than 3.8 million customers. Naomi has received many awards, including the Telstra Australian Business Innovation Award, and she has a growing community of followers through naomisimson.com. She is also closely involved in philanthropic causes, including the Cerebral Palsy Alliance, Heads Over Heels, which supports women entrepreneurs, and Voiceless, advancing animal protection. We're grateful too that Naomi is an active member of the wider University of Melbourne community, joining the university's Business and Economics Faculty Board this year. It's a great pleasure to invite her to address us this afternoon. Please welcome Naomi Simson.
The last time I was in Wilson Hall, I was now, as I suspect you are, feeling slightly pleased with myself that I had made it. In my cap and gown, I dressed up waiting for my moment on the stage, to have my hard work formalised. I'd thought that my lessons were done, that I was cooked. I was armed with my bachelor degree and the world was ready and waiting for my brilliance. Life, in fact, has not been quite like that. It has been many hundreds of sliding door moments that in seconds I need to choose which direction I will go. Each of you will be in a different place, a different space. Some will have jobs, some are still looking, and some doing something contrary to what you thought you would be doing right now. Any place you are today is absolutely okay. It is a long ride. Enjoy each phase. I learned that it is not what happens to you, but what you create for yourself that will make the difference. How you respond to what happened is key. It is the lessons that you garner from life's challenges that will give you resilience, determination, and persistence. Your North Star might change. Your definition of success will definitely move with time. Life's imperfections, the human foibles, are what makes for an interesting ride. Life is not black and white, and it is definitely not linear. The exciting part of life is in the huge spectrum of grey. There are lessons to be learned from each sliding door moment, from things you love doing and things you really detest. You learn from those who lead you. Equally, you learn from those who you see seeing the world differently. Learn from the good and the bad. I think back to my first experiences of how I was managed in my corporate roles. As a young graduate with only a few years' experience, I found myself not only as a marketing manager for a business club for an airline, but part of the team working on the first frequent flyer program in the country. Now, this was last century, long before the time of the internet, smartphones and social media. It was leading edge. I felt lucky to be a part of it. I was working 100 hours a week, every week, month in, month out. I was beginning to tire and no one appeared to notice my contribution. I continued to work hard, hoping that at some point someone would notice that I was making my mark and offer to review my position and maybe consider me for a promotion. Can I tell you that hope is not a strategy? I finally summoned the courage to go to my boss's office. My boss and I went up to the executive level floor to ask if the situation could be reviewed. I presented my case with much trepidation. "Please, sir, may I have more?" Only to have him bellow across his desk, "How dare you come in here to my office and ask for a pay rise? How do I know what you do?" I was shattered and exhausted. My boss quietly suggested that I leave because he could see that I was close to tears. He stayed and negotiated what ended up being a $5 a week pay rise rather than a promotion. I was hurt, bewildered, and ashamed to have been spoken to as if I was still a child. I felt so unjustly treated, and as I got myself back together, I reflected on his words. "How do I know what you do?" I thought to myself, when I'm running the show, I'll show and make sure that I know what my team members do. I'll make sure there is transparency of contribution. This experience, however, changed me, not just as an employee, but also as a future employer. When I started my own business, I found my journey to leadership challenging, making many mistakes, saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, but I always had the intention of being a great employer. It was not as easy as I thought it would be leading and managing people. In front of my boss's boss, all those years ago, I felt so small and insignificant. But the lesson that he delivered that day meant that I went on to create a business that has been recognised as a best employer 5 times, and we developed a framework for other businesses to nurture and create thriving teams. I was fortunate to have great role models. My father started his own business way back when I was studying here my undergraduate degree. My mother worked in computing, which was groundbreaking if we consider she started in the late 1960s. And for some of her long career, she worked for an entrepreneur, Lindsay Catamol, AM. I watched and observed. I had great role models. I saw what was possible and that I could build my own enterprise. I also saw the challenges of startup and small businesses face. Ultimately, I left corporate life at the beginning of the commercialisation of the internet. I saw a way that I could tackle this challenge and support business owners on scale. The hardest part about being in business is finding and keeping customers and creating thriving teams. This sense of purpose drives me. Since I started my entrepreneurial journey at the turn of the century, as you heard, I've delivered 3.8 million customers to other business owners. I'm often described as passionate, and passion is energy. It is a feeling. It is your internal light. But it is different than purpose. Purpose, on the other hand, is how you contribute to others and make the world a slightly better place. When you are driven by purpose, what you do each day does not occur as work. It becomes your calling, your cause. When you make a difference to others, you know you have made the world better. It took me years to discover my purpose. It took observing how I felt. It took learning the hard lessons, listening for gold, relentlessly curious, and always asking why. Ultimately, my sense of accomplishment and contribution has come from knowing that I have the power to create my own future, as you do too. I've had my setbacks, naysayers and critics, and sometimes things just don't go to plan. I pick myself up, I dust myself off, and I remind myself of my personal motto: if it is meant to be, it is up to me. If you have an idea, you will need to do the hard work, back yourself, and never give up listening to those who have the problem that you are trying to solve. Stay curious. You are in charge of your life and how it occurs. You get to choose at those sliding door moments. Look forward. Don't look back. There is no perfect path. There is just your path. It is the way it is meant to be. How you contribute to others will determine your sense of purpose, accomplishment, and the experience of success. Happiness comes from what you give, not from what you get. It is your time to flourish, thrive, and prosper. Thank those who helped you get here, your parents, your family, your teachers through life. Take the gifts that you have been given, an intellect and the ability to discover. Leaders learn. The real game of life is the lessons that you collect along the way. When you are faced with the choice at your many sliding door moments, remember there are those in life who watch what happened, those in life who ask what happened, and there are those who make things happen. Be the person that makes things happen. Thank you.